Heyo everybody, Haku here with my live reaction or read through for Tower of God chapter 608. Probably not a huge crazy long Haku intro this week. A little bit to talk about. I want to talk about last chapter a little bit before we read the next one. Plus I don't really know how long this chapter will be. It just came out and everything, so we'll see, because the last two weren't really that long. Most of the last two videos was just discussion. So let's talk a little bit. First off, I wanted to say earlier this week, Nia D. Hemmings was victim to one of those channel hijackings that's been happening over the past couple of years to YouTube creators. And, you know, that's a very scary thing. Luckily, it seems like, and thankfully, it seems like he's gotten his channel back, which is really, really great. But if that hadn't been resolved by the time we got around to this reaction, that was something that I was going to talk about here in the intro. But yeah, he covers things that are like, including the scanlations. So if you're a scan reader, not official like me, then go check out Naya. And if you are an official reader like me, you can still check out Naya, but I will, warn you, you're going to have to dodge some spoilers if you want to check him out and you're not caught up to scans. But yeah, with that aside, I know that for an undisclosed amount of weeks more, I've seen the like chapter scores. I saw them like a week or two ago, and so I know for the next few chapters, I won't say how many in case people don't want to know that kind of thing, the scores were pretty low. Does that mean I'm not going to dislike them? I mean, that doesn't mean that. Like, just wait until you hear what I have to say about last chapter. Doesn't mean that I'm going to dislike them, but it does mean that they're probably contentious, not the best. Like, while it doesn't mean that I'm going to dislike them, they're probably not going to blow me away or anything. But what I'm so excited about is after that, seeing how the scores go up really high, then go up incredibly, like, almost 10 out of 10 kind of high. That makes me so excited for what's going to come after these next few weeks, but we have to get through these next few weeks first. So to talk about last chapter before we continue on, the chapter before last I actually think was mid. It was a meh chapter. I said back when I first read it, I was like, this is a whatever chapter, but I don't mind that because Tower of God's a long story. It's been going on over 600 chapters. For a story that long, you're going to have meh chapters here and there. You're going to, in particular, have periods of transition here and there where things just aren't necessarily at their best. You're just, like right now, we're just kind of getting through this game at the moment. That's kind of what's going on in the week to week. So we're kind of just plowing through what's going on with this slaying the chess pieces game. And we're going to have to get through that until it gets interrupted or ended or we transition to something else. We're going to be doing that. So I was expecting for a little while for it to just kind of be us getting through that. So I did think the chapter before last wasn't that great, but I didn't really mind it either. Last chapter I think was better. I think last chapter was better than the week before, simply because we just took the chapter, we focused on just Bomb and Rack versus Wee Wee and Rashut, and just focused on the action. The action was solid. It was fine. I feel like the biggest issue people have is with Rack's power up, but I don't really mind it because, again, Rack's always been special. He's a pure blood native one, which even Kunedwan, Data Kunedwan was like, wow, I thought that they had all been wiped out, that the pure blooded native ones had all gone extinct. So Rack is a very, very, very special person. And, like Data Edwin's like, coming to this hidden floor might have helped weaken the curse on you. So maybe having Bomb's life in danger, or maybe, the white soul stuff that happened during the nest. Any of that, you could say, okay, maybe it weakened the curse on Rack a little bit or something. Either way, it's fine. I don't have an issue with him getting a power up here, especially because, like I said, by the end game, Bomb's main core allies are going to need to be really strong anyway. What I think going forward, so for CU to not get these kind of complaints going forward, I think what you need to do, and he did it well with Rack. I guess let me start with Rack. I'm trying to think of the best way to get my point across without just rambling. So I'll start with just Rack. So with Rack, I do think it's kind of been built up to, but I think where the failing comes in is all the time that Rack is spent as comedy relief, or all the times that Rack hasn't been taken seriously. But we had Rack getting the Ancient Spear, we had what he did against White, we had him taking out even the powered up Holin's Shinhail while Bomb took out Holin himself. We had him using the Ancient Spear with Kuhn's Lighthouse to help aim to take down the one commander of Kirin's troops. So we've had him doing things. We have had some sort of escalation for Rack as a character. We had Rack way back during the Cage, helping out with his rock powers against like the Doom stuff. So we have, I think, had that progression for Rack. I think people complaining are overblowing it. I think we've seen him getting stronger and stronger throughout the course of Season 3, or at least showing us more and more. And I think if CU doesn't want complaints like that about the regular characters, and for so long people have said, why are the regular characters still climbing with Bomb? Why? They should be completely useless by now. And I've said that, Bomb's regular allies should be strong. They should be exceptional, because out of millions of regulars, they are always the top. They are like the top 10, the top 5. Bomb's allies are always the strongest. I think in order to not get these complaints, we need to see more scenes of Bomb's regular allies being special. Bomb should always, he goes too hard with Bomb, where Bomb should be a character who is the main character. Every now and then there should be characters like, whoa, how is this guy doing this when he's just a regular? Bomb, at least sometimes, CU kind of overdoes it, should have those moments to show that he is the main character. He is special. And while they shouldn't be as special, they're not the main character, I think that we need more of those moments where his allies are shown off as special. More moments like Haku saving Evenkel, like Kuhn redirecting and teleporting the bullet to take down the Windbird, the way that Shibisu and Kan Hong were even able to play a role in that. Moments like Hatsu igniting the Donghei to help Cha against Kendrick Deal. We need these sorts of moments like showing how strong Miseng had gotten, unlocking her Shinsu quality, taking out the Purple Eye Brothers, and then Miseng and Andrasi being regulars to stand with Bomb against Charlie at the end of Last Station. We need more moments where Bomb's allies get to show off that they are special, that they are strong, so that it doesn't feel like it's just out of nowhere. Because if we say, we haven't been seeing Anak. If we keep Anak off screen for hundreds of chapters, and then all of a sudden she's incredibly, incredibly strong, even though it can logically make sense, it's kind of out of nowhere because we haven't seen the build up to it. I think that much like how I think Rack has been done fine. I think the problem is we've spent too much time with Rack just completely a background nobody, and too much time with him being comic relief, and I think that's where a lot of the complaints come from. But I think that we need more scenes of Bomb's allies doing special things to show that they are more special than just most regular tower people. And we've seen that for a lot of Bomb's allies, but I do think we need to see more, and I think a part of that is also establishing who of Bomb's allies is really core and important. I mean, we got the idea before that it's typical for there to be multiple teams that work together. Weren't they called crews or something in Last Station where they're like, oh yeah, multiple teams will climb the tower and they're all allied with each other and they'll share members between each other? That's kind of what Bomb's group does. He's constantly the different teams he's got going on are constantly switching out members. And I think we need to establish, because it's you have Bomb, of course, and then Kun and Rack are obvious close allies. You've got Elaine and Haku. You've got Hatsu and Shibisu who have done a lot. There's Andrasi and Anak. There's Wangnan and Miseng who are now meeting up with Goseng and Horyang and Kasano. And now we have Lilial and Shilial with us, who we know were tied in with Maria and stuff. We have Yuan Danhua, who might get roped back into things as we get into more of Revolution stuff, since Revolution are the ones that have them. Are Kel and Yule, do they count really as Bomb's allies? Sachi and Boro were going to climb separately to get stronger so they could meet back up. Iride still has the stuff going on where she was supposed to be following Bomb for whatever reason, so Iride and Bero still have some sort of relevance. I don't know what's going to go on with Yule and Kel. Are they going to be Bomb's actual allies? Because Yule is still, at least Yule, if not also Kel, is still with Vicente and Arya on Gastang's ship, which we know is around. So those characters can get involved. If at any point they break Vicente White out of containment, Vicente White could play a role in the current Sprout arc. As well as, like I said, Arya, Yule, but they're maybe less powerful. We don't really know how strong Vicente White is at the moment, but you get my point. We need to really establish which of these allies are like Bomb's core allies, which ones are really important. Because remember, Zahard didn't climb the tower alone. Zahard had 12 great warriors, and on top of those 12 great warriors, he also had other people climbing as part of his general team. Maybe not all the time, but again, leaving, coming in and out of the team, who climbed the tower with him, who weren't of the 12 warriors, like Quadrado and Murcia. So Zahard had these characters around him, Bomb's gonna have these characters around him, and it also makes you question what of the characters that are already that strong. Are they characters that are meant to die or pass on the torch to the next generation? Characters like Jin Sung and Evan Kel, characters like Yu Han Sung, who has always had so many death flags surrounding that guy. Characters like Cha and Dewan now, like the other Slayers. Because when you ask me, I've said this before, which characters in Tower of God have had the most development in the story, other than obviously Bomb as the main character himself, I think of characters like Yama especially, characters like Joaquin, and Karaka even as, maybe top 20, top 15 most developed characters. Like, the Slayers have gotten some of, and we know we're going to get more Karaka in the future because of all of the Zahard stuff. So all of these Slayers are some of the most developed characters that we've had in the entire story. So where do they play into it? I think we need to do a better job. If CU doesn't want complaints about power-ups for regulars in the future, we need to do a better job of establishing which of Bomb's allies are really, really important, and also establishing, giving them more feats, giving them more accomplishments, so it seems like they're gradually building up how special they are and how strong they are again and again and again. Like I said, things like Hatsu igniting the Donghei, things like Kun teleporting the bullet to help take out the Wimbird, things like what Rak is doing right now. We need to build these things up over time, and we need to see more of them from Bomb's regular allies, instead of just having them off screen for a long time and then having them be special. And I think that we could be seeing some of that in the future, because this is something I've been thinking about for weeks now, is the main event here is really the Lopobia and the Pobadao fighting each other, but we do have Revolution involved, we do have Wal Hikesong getting involved, we don't know who else is going to be with Yurik, we do have FUG getting involved, we've got Murcia there with again, for the sake of this, I'll count Jin Sung as an elder, even though that's not really been confirmed. We have the elder trio with him, Jin Sung, Garnak, and Kel Halam. Karaka's there, but he's injured after taking the attack from Dumas. Inside of Karaka's Heart of Darkness thing was Yuan Sung, so Yuan Sung's around somewhere. With all of the FUG characters around, to me, do the characters that went to the Snow Forest really just hang around at the Snow Forest? I think if anybody is showing up to help Bomb's allies and to help the main character group more, I feel like it makes sense for the Snow Forest allies to show back up, because a lot of them are really tied in with season 3. Maybe not Sophia, maybe she's yeah, I went to the nest and got one of my students killed because Murcia wanted me to go there, I'm out for now. But characters we know Mule Love went there, we know Berdish went there, and she's one of Yama's highest ranked people, especially now that Gato and Kanzon are gone. She is Berdish actually, he basically Yama's second in command at this point. Paul was presumably there, yeah, I know who's Paul, but characters like Shibisu and Hatsu, why are they going to want to stay away when Andrasi and Bomb's main group is here? Hockney really, really wanted to get back to Bomb terribly badly at the walls, so you would think that characters like Hockney and Elaine would want to come back, and if Elaine does come back to play a role in this Sprout arc, then we can connect that in with the Elbaba stuff that we have been getting in the lead up to the Sprout stuff. So again, these are already characters that were season 3 heavy characters that we can wrap back into things if anybody's showing up to help Bomb's group. But yeah, I think the Snow Force people could show up. Either way, that is a big Haku intro. That is a big discussion. I just wanted to say, because I know that last week did have really low scores, I think the week before last was probably the most mid or meh chapter that we've had in a while. But last week, I think was, again, it wasn't anything great to me, but it was to me better than the week before last. And like I said, I think the rack stuff is fine. I don't really mind it, but I do think all of what I discussed is how to handle that kind of thing better in the future. And yeah, with the rack thing, a lot of people too were acting as if he just a one-shot a high ranker or anything. Really, she was holding on to him with her blood powers or whatever. He transformed, he busted out and like sent her flying, and that's kind of it. It's not like he one-shot a high ranker or anything. He just bust out of a grab attack. But either way, let's continue on. Let's actually read Chapter 608. Or Season 3, Episode 191. We have a violence warning, but so don't we always? Season 3, Slay the Chess Pieces 3. It's like Rack has become, alright? An ancient creature. That dinosaur bastard. She's going in with the spear. And he roars. We have the stones moving. Okay. And then she's using the blood wings. I'll tear that mouth of yours right off your face. She's going into his face with a spear attack. Is he going to catch it? We have a crunch. He does. He bites off the spear. What the hell? He just bit right through it. And of course, like I said, he could be entering this partially. Part of the curse or whatever could be breaking because of Bomb's life being in danger. It could be really similar to the Bomb versus White stuff, where Bomb said when he was fighting Ren, he was like, if I went up against Joaquin again, if I went up against White again, I don't think I could win. I just, between the almost dying stuff, the Aria stuff, the finding out Prince and Akraptor are dead stuff, he went into kind of this dying will form for a little bit. And he can't really replicate that on his own. So this could be another similar thing where Rack is just hitting this next gear, and it might not be something that he can consciously call upon whenever he wants. But he is able to punch and sends her back a little bit, but she blocks it. How can this be? He looked like an ordinary regular only a minute ago. How did he suddenly get so strong? Then, wow. Really, really cool design going on with the rocks and everything. There's definitely something strange going on here. Now I really want to catch that dinosaur. Okay. We see more of the blood forming from her wings. Rack looking on. And it congeals together into an orb of some kind? Oh, hold on. Yeah, she's Lopobia, of course. She might be summoning whatever her creature is. An eye opens. Chupacabra. That's really cool. Suck all the blood out of that dinosaur. And turn him into a puppet for me. That dinosaur is going to be mine. And then Rack, we have Bomb calling out. And the Frost Bear comes in again. But Bomb avoids it this time. Frosty Bear, freeze them all. He sends out his Ice Shinsu. Bomb is still igniting the thorn. His foot gets frozen though. The Shinsu around me is freezing so quickly. Because again, this isn't like... It isn't like Bomb and Rack are just completely walloping high rankers. We don't exactly know how strong Wee Wee and Rashid are. We can assume that they're probably pretty strong given that they're branch leaders, but at the same time we know from the nest that they aren't part of Lopobia's top 5 or anything. And it's not like they're having an easy time. Bomb is igniting the thorn, using his orb, and he's still like not having the most gentle time here with Wee Wee. Same with Rack hitting his sort of next gear and still not really having much damage or any damage on Rashut. She's blocked his only direct attacks, and she's only just gotten knocked back a bit. I have to get out of here. The ice starts freezing him even more. Oh? Is that the second thorn? Is he going to warp himself? Too slow. Oh, and Bomb starts dropping. Now we have the rocks going in toward Chupacabra. Stabbing in. And then the blood wrapping around to where Rak is. He goes in with his claws, though, and tries to block it. Okay, more just shots of the blood. And it looks like... Oh, it looks like it's sucking the blood back in that was around Rak. So yeah, it pulled Rak in. And it's drinking. That's it. Once all the blood has been drained, I'll refill him with my blood and turn him into a puppet. And then the Chupacabra reacts. We have this burst from within. Another shot of it with the light bursting out, the red light. And it's heading toward Rashut herself. Just a massive attack here from Rak, but it manages to miss. Oh? I don't know how much it missed. Seems like she still was at least somewhat hit by it. And that wasn't actually the spear, that was Rak himself, I think. And he creates a giant spike of an arm. It's almost reminding me of what White Garment Widow was doing. You bastard. And he whines back. And they both go in for their attacks. And then we have the clash from the two of them. Rashut. Weeby turning his attention away. Bomb still frozen. Oh, is he going burnt? He's going full burnt chestnut? He brings out the red and blue Thrissa horns? Or is he just going transformation? And then we see the serpentine Leviathan Shinsu around him. Okay, we actually physically see the snaking body and the horns. And then we got the Coon side. So again, this is cool. Rak and Bomb are really having to bust out kind of just about all they've got. Bomb still has a bit more that we know about, but they're really going pretty much all out. I mean, for Rak, like very much all out. Maybe even more than Rak is consciously capable of. Because he hasn't really spoken, so we don't know how conscious he is of what's going on right now. Though I hope it isn't played too much for laughs. I hope Rak doesn't just come out of this form and immediately is like, what are you talking about, Turtle? I didn't transform. I hope that Rak at least has some knowledge of what's happening, or that it's taken a little bit more seriously than that. So we have Kun and Dumas. Hey, are you going to keep following me around like this forever? Doesn't it make you nervous that I have the king? Saying that he's following me without attacking. There's definitely been some sort of change. But I can't tell what he's thinking behind that mask. Damn it, I'm not sure if he's really taking the bait or not. I only have one option right now. I need to keep wandering around like this while avoiding Bomb. Until I find someone who can beat Dumas for me. Those three are the only people in this game who could defeat Dumas. What? I'm not entirely sure about Tiara, but the Popodal's family head's on the same side as Dumas, so I'd better avoid him. Is Kun overestimating Tiara? I really, really consider Dumas to be like top 50 a kind of character. And I just really don't see that for Tiara. I see Tiara as more of a Yuri-ish, like top 500, maybe even top 400, around there kind of high ranker. I don't see her as like top of the top. I don't see her as like one of the second only to Gustang kind of high rankers. Whereas Dumas really is one of those, like, he's third only to Gustang technically. So yeah, I really don't know about that Tiara stuff. Maybe if she has the pen, she's just broken and can cheat, but even then, I don't know what to think of this. Because it really doesn't feel like her portrayal is, especially with the way that she and the others were running during the stuff at the beginning of the Sprout compared to the Dumas stuff at the beginning of the Sprout with Traumeré. It just doesn't feel like she's been given that same sort of, and she was getting held back by like Serpent Master and Yuri. So it really, to me, I feel like Serpent Master or Yuri would not be able to hold Dumas like that. Like they were to Tiara. So I don't know. I really don't think Tiara is at that level. That seems like a weird statement. But it is true that, gosh, I don't know, because Kun wants to avoid them, but honestly, I feel like now is kind of the moment to temporarily work with the Pobedal family. Then again, we do know the Pobedal family is sketchy. They're trying to use Bomb. They're not good. How quickly I switch up from being like Gustang is extremely sketchy and is probably like super antagonistic towards Bomb in reality in some way, because he's probably plotting some crazy stuff. How quickly I switch up to be like, we should work with the Pobedal for right now. On another note, I wonder if the Lopobia family head realizes that his branch head's turned against him. I don't suppose he'd forgive them if he found out. I don't exactly want to side with the Lopobia's family head, but I also don't like the fact that he was betrayed by his own branch leaders, branch heads, whatever. They're supposed to be the heart of the family. As a member of one of the 10 great families myself, that pisses me off. He glances back to Dumas. What about Dumas? Could he wipe out all those scumbag branch leaders for me? And then he notices something. Oh, it's the branch leaders. We have Ju and Tump this time. And she takes out his lighthouse that's been observing. Okay, so we get to see more of the others. It's worth a shot. My goal is to keep him from running into Bomb anyway. All I need to do is stay alive and make it to the arena with Bomb. So until then, I'll do as I please. After all, I have the best chess piece of anyone. This is fun, because do you interpret it as he has the best chess piece because he's the pawn, so he can do a lot of fun stuff without actually incurring a lot of risk compared to some of the other chess pieces, or because he's pretending to have the best chess piece, the king, the most valuable? I almost take it as because he's the pawn. And then he charges into where those two are. That's one of the Irregular's teammates. Look behind him. Tump, we really have not seen anything of this guy. At least we saw some of, like, Ju doing stuff against, like, Kier and stuff when Belrier showed up and everything, but we have seen nothing out of Tump. Oh my god. That's Dumas. I love the way that people hype up Dumas and Lobadan. It's so good. Alright, that's going to be the end there. That was another fun one. How do I compare it to last week's chapter? I don't know. I don't know what my thoughts are. Maybe give it another week and I'll have a better idea for you. It was solid though. It was whatever. I don't hate it. It was just another, like I said at the beginning, where we had in order to get to the good stuff, in order to get to whatever's next, whether that's the actual family head clash and the game they're playing, whether that's finding out what's in the memories, whether that's Yurik or Mircea showing up, or the war really breaking all out, or Lobadan's group making it to the Sprout and everything with him and Yama and everybody. No matter what that next stage is, in order to get to that next stage, we've got to get through the Slay the Chess Pieces game. And, you know, it's funny, if we didn't have the Slay the Chess Pieces game, we didn't really need to even do all of this. But going into it, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, to get to the next big thing, we've got to make it through this game. We got to have them play the game. And I think if you're marathoning it, it's going to be a lot better than week to week. But even week to week, I'm prepared for, again, the past couple weeks and the next couple weeks to be just kind of us getting through this game. It's just like, you know, it's just a little grind that we got to do. We got to get through it. And yeah, it was just okay. It was just solid. I think the bomb and rack fight stuff is pretty okay. The choreography of it is, there's a lot of blood flying everywhere, a lot of rocks flying everywhere. There were a lot of panels that I'm like, what information does this panel give us? What is it trying to tell us? I can't tell. There are a lot of panels that I think the choreography wasn't that tight. It wasn't, like, compared to, we just had the Mazano and Murchia fight, which had really good choreography. The Bomb and Ren fight had a really great choreography. There's been a lot of really good ones as of late. So to just have panels of blood flying around, rocks flying around, and not a lot of visual information being given, especially when we get multiple of those panels back to back, and it not being that great or that easy to follow. Here's the thing, you can see from the figures behind me, I read Hero Academia, and sometimes Horikoshi's choreography, his fight panels, are really, really hard to decipher, really, really hard to understand, to dissect, I think was what I was going to say at first. Sometimes he's not the best at doing these action panels and this fight choreography in manga form. So I'm used to just trying to have to figure out what is being told to us through these fight panels. So even then, I'm used to it, but it's like, maybe could have been done a lot better choreography-wise. But either way, I think it was fine. I think it's neat having to see Bomb and Rack push so far. The Kun stuff is pretty neat, though again, it feels like we never really get to see Kun do that much. Because I feel like, I was thinking it before, I was like, Kun got these ice powers. We pretty much never saw him use them. He got the fire fish. The usage of it was kind of weird. The usage of it wasn't bad, like the idea behind it, like him having the power to buff people or to heal people. That's kind of a neat extra thing, but I think the actual implementation of it in the story was kind of wishy-washy. But yeah, it is what it is. I think it was just an okay chapter, and I think for the next few weeks, again, I'm going to form my own opinions, not take other people's, but I'm kind of feeling like as we go through this game, we're probably going to have a few weeks that are just, we need to get through this week kind of weeks, until we get to some apparently very, very good stuff that I'm incredibly excited for. But either way, that's it. Thank you for watching. Like if you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of this chapter, my thoughts and reaction. Subscribe for more. Tower of God, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. If you want a link to the Discord server, it is free and open for anyone. Just ask and I'll give you a link. If you'd like to help support the channel, you could drop a super thanks down below if you'd like to, or if you'd like to not only know that you're helping me to continue to make videos, but also to get, you know, to get One Piece videos a little early, get a shout out at the end of every single video. You can hit join down below to become a channel member. You can go to patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or a link will be in the description to become a patron. Also, I just posted another really big project that I worked a long time on with my reviewing 50 anime from 2022 from worst to best. So if you want to go check that out, I really would appreciate it, because I worked a lot on that one. It was a ton, again, months of work. So if you want to check that out, it would be appreciated. But either way, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to people who are patrons and channel members. Thank you to Chosen Regular Evan Holly, Magical Girls, FR Nono and Abyss Knight, Cheriton Students, David Langstaff and Folded Ghoul, Slayer Candidates SG and Stan Cedar, and Pure Element Pateorial. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.